Who am I that you are mindful of me? I am nobody, but you listen to me. From your mercies every morning I see. Oh, happy day, you have taken my sins away. Lord, you set your love on me, set your love on me, and you shine your light on me, shine your light on me. Lord, you set your love on me, set your love on me, yeah. And I can say that I am blessed. I do not be a shram, yo, shram, yo, shram. Washem is what ram, yo, ram, I do not be a shram, yo, shram, shram. What call him more, yo, I'm on this to bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh, Lord, bless me, bless me, bless me. Just to bless me, just to bless me. Oh, Lord, bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh, yeah. Lord, you have poured your anointing upon my head, and my cup is running over. Surely your goodness and your mercy, they will follow me all of the days of my life. There we go. Say, goodness and mercy follow me, kindness and favor, signs and wonders. Oh, na 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 na. I am blessed, I am blessed. Oh, more Jesus, bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh, Lord, bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh, more Jesus, bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh, Lord, bless me, bless me, bless me. Everybody say, I am blessed, I am blessed, I am blessed. Everybody say, I am blessed, I am blessed. Everybody, I am blessed, 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 I am blessed. I am blessed. I'm blessed in the city, in the field, blessed when I come in, when I go out. Oh, yeah. In the city, I am blessed. In the field, I am blessed. When I come in, I am blessed. When I go out, I do not be a shram, yo, shram, yo, shram. My shame is what ram, yo, ram. I do not be a shram, yo, shram, shram. What call him more,
Our journeys through education take many routes from our early years to university. Academic Crossroads is here to explore key elements to help equip you along the way. So join us and our special guests as we also discuss the expected and unexpected paths, including all the challenges and triumphs while gathering your academic top tips.
This is Academic Crossroads with your host, Dr. Lianje Adeyemi.
Good evening and welcome to Academic Crossroads here on Fire Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lianje, and we are back this week. So thank you all for joining us here this week on this week's show, where we are focusing on finding your rhythm. Now we've been settling into the new academic year, preparing, thinking about, like we were thinking about last week, maintaining the perfect streak, which was focused on that all important consistency. Consistency is key after all. So thank you to everybody who has been with us throughout this series. And we are coming to the end of it this week. But as we continue, as always, the episodes are there for you to go back and catch the gems. Catch the gems. We had some amazing special guests. We had some guest hosts as well, amazing guest hosts. And so everything is available for you on Marpe Assembly YouTube channel, so you can always catch the recordings there. So for today, we are going to be thinking about finding our rhythms. Finding our rhythms? What does that mean? I hear you ask. What does that mean? Well, when you're thinking about the work that you have to do, whether it's work, maybe you are employed or you have your own business, or it may be that you are a student and you're thinking about the coursework and the exams that you have to prep for, the content, the modules that you are learning. It's all about looking at your rhythms throughout the day and how you can best utilize them to ensure that you finish with excellence. So that is what we will be focusing on today. So if you haven't already, please send the link out and I will be back with you in just one moment.
See anything you going down me. Cause I love when my God they give me on daily, they ginger me. They won't give me the dollar, I say no. They won't give me the pound, so I say no. They say make a sign up, I say no. Like I tell them now you are my dear, no. Feel like the no, say you're my heart desire. And if you will consign you, I never retire. Cause I got something more than gold. Oh my depth is more than gold. You're the lover of my soul. Oh, this thing is more than gold. Even if I give me no matter. Even if they pull up with papers, I no go enter. I never leave your side. We gon' take you paradise. She let feel my vibe. Me I get you down and I go. Give me my dollar, give me no matter. Give me that pull up with papers, I no go enter. I never leave your side. We gon' take you paradise. She let feel my vibe. Me I get you down.
Academic Crossroads.
Good evening and welcome back to Academic Crossroads here on Fire Radio. I am your host, Dr. Leanne J, and today we are thinking all about finding your rhythm. So good evening, Betty, St. Mary, Susie, Lisha, goodness, good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us here today. Cisa, Tendai, Caroline, Ben, Dorette, Nigel, and to all of those that are tuned in but haven't commented, good evening to you too. So finding your rhythms. Now, when we think about consistency, when we think about all of the things that we have been speaking about over these past few weeks about, setting routines that stick, one of the fundamental things that we have to consider is actually that our routines are quite rigid and we need discipline to stick to them, and we need consistency to make sure we continually stick to them. But one thing that we also have to be aware of and a bit of adaptable to is actually how we work. So whilst it's all good and well us having these amazing plans, we also need to consider how we work. And when we are thinking of our rhythms, we still have to consider discipline, but it's more about understanding how we prefer to work, and naturally, what do we do best at what time throughout the day. And now, a good example of this is you tend to have people say, oh, I'm not really a morning person. Or you'll have some people say, oh, you know what, actually, I do my best work in the morning. And this is something we refer to as larks and owls. So if someone might refer to you as a lark, then you are someone that is an early riser, and they tend to see that actually this person gets stuff done in the morning, in the AMs, before lunch. they have focus, they've gotten their work done. Or it may be that actually someone might be referred to as an owl, as they say. And this is where somebody prefers and works better in the evening or later in the day. So when they get up in the morning, they're not that fresh, not that quick off the mark with some things. And so, but once the day gets going and once they get later in the day and into the evening, actually they produce some of their best work. And so when we are thinking of this, some things may be a bit more obvious when we're considering how we work around our routines. Now, there may be some practical things. So, for example, when I was training for the London Marathon, shorter runs, when I was initially started training, the shorter runs made sense to do in the morning, because you might be running for 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe you could go for an hour, 45 minutes, and it's a shorter run. So doing that in the morning was actually okay. But as the runs got longer, actually then after the runs, you'd feel a bit more tired. And so actually running for an hour and a half, maybe even up to 2 hours sometimes, it didn't make sense to do that in the morning, because then the whole day you'd be written off and you're tired. Because as you can imagine, after running all of those miles and for all of that time, you can be tired, right? And so with that being said, there are some things that are a bit obvious to consider when we are building our routines and putting our schedules together. So how long do you have to work for? Do you actually have the time to do that? And how do you feel after you've done that thing? Whether it might be that you're looking to put the gym into your routine and into your plan, but actually if you know that after the gym you are very tired and you are going to need to sleep, or you're just falling asleep at your desk, then maybe gym in the morning isn't the best thing for you. But equally, some people feel really energized after going to the gym. Maybe they haven't done a heavy session. Maybe that's why they feel a bit more energized, but they might feel a bit more energized. And so actually doing that in the morning is the best thing, because it prepares them ready for the day. So some things are a bit more obvious like that, but other things are not as obvious. And when we are thinking of our routines, we have to really think about things such as, when do you digest information best? When is it that actually, if you listen to something, if you read something, you really take it in, you have the time as well, that is part of it, but you have the time to really take that information in, and you're able to digest it, think about it, dissect it, actually critique what it is that you're reading. And so with that being said, we have to think about, actually, when do we digest information best? When do we read and focus best? At what time of day do you do that? Is it actually in the afternoon? It may be that in the afternoon, you find it a lot easier to actually sit down and read a book. Now, there may be practical things in your environments like children, or it may be that actually at a certain time of day, you get the opportunity to maybe walk to the park and sit down and read. And so you have that, or you may have a lunch break. And so that's your opportunity to read. So thinking about maybe like when you digest the information, or maybe you've got a piece of work to do, but you're most creative at a certain time of the day, then considering those things as well. When are you most creative, and when can you actually effectively do the work that you have to do? Even if you are having to sit down for an exam. Now, exams can happen throughout the day, right? It's not that every exam starts at 9 a.m. So some things as well, you're going to have to train yourself. You have to train yourself. It's not just that you do every exam paper at 9 a.m. because that's when you work best. It may be when you work best, but you also need to consider practically what the environment is like, and what is the situation that you will be implementing this thing in. So if you know that you have exams and they are likely to be throughout the day, I would highly recommend that you do your past papers at different points in the day as well, so that you actually get used to doing those. And it's not just that you wake up first thing in the morning, and every day you can do a past paper though, first thing in the morning, but you also have to utilize other times during the day as well, so that you're actually making sure that you are effectively practicing in all scenarios for yourself. So when we are thinking of routines, it is very important that you actually think of the routines that you have, yes, but also how you work and when you work best. Now, with this, we also have to think about, what are we doing already that is unsustainable? Now, when I'm saying unsustainable, I mean that it is something that you cannot implement over a long period of time, because it just doesn't work, and it's not going to be of benefit to you health-wise in the long run either. And so one thing that I know many people have done, if you are a uni student, 1000% you have done late nights and early mornings to get your coursework due. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? If you're a uni student, or even if you're in sixth form and you know that you've had to do an all-nighter at least once, please let me know in the comments. But those all-nighters, they're not sustainable. They are short periods of time and as they should be, for short periods of time. Because the late nights and the early mornings, you will tire yourself out. And so we need to consider, one, putting ourselves in the best position, first of all, so that you don't have to get there. But also knowing that that's not something that should be implemented every single day. So if you know that you are a morning person, then make sure you are getting early nights as well. And it may not be coursework, but it may be something else. It may be something like during the day, if you're at work or something like that, and having back-to-back meetings. I feel like it was only a few years ago when all the meetings went online, and you had to really engage online. And it was at that point that a lot of people really found that, wow, actually online meetings can be so draining if you have the whole day and you've just got back-to-back meetings. And so actually thinking about that as well, because you have to think to yourself, if I'm putting in back-to-back meetings, when will I actually get my work done? 2, when do you have time to actually think about what was spoken about in the meeting and then make notes or send the emails that need to get sent? And so unsustainable routines can come in many different ways and forms. So whether you are at university or whether you are working, we need to make sure that actually, whilst we need to understand when we work best, we also need to consider what we're doing already or what may prop up at different points throughout the year in terms of what is sustainable and what is unsustainable. And also thinking about what I was referring to earlier with the exams. So yes, you may work best at a certain time, and you may find that actually 9 a.m. is the best time for me to do my past papers. So do your past papers at 9 a.m., especially when you're learning the content. But later on, make sure that you're doing those past papers throughout the day. So actually you're testing yourself live in all of the possible conditions that you could test yourself in. So do your past paper at 9 a.m. Do your past paper at 12. Do one at 3 even. And get yourself used to working across those different times. So my question to you now is, do you think you are a morning person, or do you think you are more of an evening person? Now, even though we kind of blanket this, but it's also important to actually know that you may not be the same for each piece of work or each thing. But we will get straight into that in just one moment. So whilst I'm away, please make sure you drop in the chat, are you a morning person, or would you say that you work best in the evenings? And I'll be back with you right after this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give me gold and you refine them. It's only clay you may define them. Everything you talk will be defined. Final. Yo, yo, yo. Give me gold and you refine them. It's only clay you may define them. Everything you talk will be defined. Final. Yo, yo, yo. Best and mojo, yo. Me I know delay. I'm giving them most to the reading. Nana. Me just to best and mojo, me I no delay. I'm giving them most to the reading. Go Ferran, bush Ferran, me just. Now you got you and on they blow my mind. Love the feeling all the time. Show me love I don't deserve. Oh now you and on they blow my mind. Love the feeling all the time. Show me love I don't deserve. You call me your favorite baby. Before mama call me your name. That's why you're blessing me daily. I know I'm your favorite baby. Yeah. When everybody's saying that's a lesson down, my testimony is a lifting down. Cause you built a hedge that is round about me, round about progress.
On Fire Radio.
Me I no delay. I'm giving them most to the reading. Go Ferran, bush Ferran, me just look progress and mojo. Me I no delay. I'm giving them most to the reading. Go Ferran, bush Ferran, me just. Now you got you and on they blow my mind. Love the feeling all the time. Show me love I don't deserve. Oh I don't. Oh now you and on they blow my mind. Love the feeling all the time. Show me love I don't deserve. You call me your favorite baby. Before mama call me your name. That's why you're blessing me daily. I know I'm your favorite baby.
Mix Wonders Magic.
Academic Crossroads.
Good evening and welcome back to Academic Crossroads here live on Fire Radio. So we've got some people shouting morning. So Nigel, you have said morning. Tendai, definitely a morning person. I find it easier to get tasks out of the way when I am full of energy. Nigel, afternoon for more creative stuff. Okay, so morning, but afternoon for more creative stuff. Steph, you've said morning. Susie, afternoon person. Gloriness, definitely a morning person. Jane, morning person. If I have an early night, see the catch there? If you have an early night. Caroline, afternoon and evening. Okay, you're the first evening person. Lisha, evenings on weekdays and mornings on weekends. Although I agree that afternoon time allows for more creativity. Okay, so Lisha, you're already identifying different patterns throughout the week. Nice. Sean, you've said late nights and sometimes morning. Betty, you've said early morning person, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. That is so specific. Let us know how did you work that out? When did you find your specific time zone? So understanding and identifying when you work best is so important. And like some of you have said, maybe you're a bit more creative in the afternoon or in the mornings. That's the time that you might focus on certain work better. But identifying that and understanding that can really help us effectively implement our routines. Because then we're not just thinking, I want to do A, B, and C, but we're actually thinking, you know what, I do this best at this time. And I know that I have to do this on this day. And then you can create the plan and execute it excellently, because you have more of an understanding of actually what it is that you're doing. You know, there are so many times when we just put plans together and we say, you know what, I want to do A, B, and C, but then practically throughout the day, it doesn't make sense. Not only do we not have the time, but actually the things that maybe you've started putting your plan together at 12 o'clock. But the time that you want to do the thing that you've set out to do, the best time for you to do that is 9 a.m. Now, it doesn't mean that you've missed the window completely. So there is hope. It does not mean that you've missed the window completely, but you just want to ensure that where you are putting plans in place, that you have an idea of how you work best and when you do what work best, to ensure that you can actually be the most productive during the day. And now, like I mentioned before we took a little break, that actually identifying what work is done best when is so important, because we need to understand that actually we have multiple things a lot of the time that need to be done, right? And we have multiple roles, responsibilities. And so with that being said, we need to actually be able to effectively execute our plans. And so making sure that we can do that well and identify that work well is so important. And it's also important for us to integrate breaks in our day and time for recovery periods. Now, recovery periods can look different for everybody. It may be that you take a break and you go and do something else. It may be that you take a break, and by do something else, I mean another piece of work. It may be that actually you take a break and you go for a walk. You may take a break and read. You may take a break and watch something. You may go and play a game, do some sports or something, do some painting. It may be anything, but actually taking breaks really gives us a chance to actually digest a bit more what we've taken in, and especially if you're looking at screens the whole time as well, it gives your eyes a break. So really taking those breaks and going away from the work and then coming back to it with fresh eyes, as they say, is always a good thing to do. Now, when we are considering our rhythms, these may change over time. So many of you may think, oh yeah, when I was in school, actually I worked better in the afternoons. But since going to sixth form, I found that the afternoons aren't so great for me, and actually maybe later in the evenings are better. But then when you get to uni, you might find that actually now I'm most effective and most focused on certain types of work in the mornings. So just because you found that actually one thing really worked for you, maybe even last academic year, be open to that adapting and be open to that actually being different this year. And it's fine if it is, but it's just something that we need to be aware of so that we can change our routines and adapt our schedules so that we can still be as productive as possible. And so when you're thinking about this, so we've had environment is quiet, I think, and process better. Okay, so that is excellent, Auntie Betty, actually being aware of yourself and being aware of your environment. And so knowing and identifying that actually these things do change over time can really help us be most effective. You know, it may, and sometimes it's maybe your work pattern changes, maybe life changes, maybe children are born, are getting older, schedules change. Instead of nursery runs, it's now school runs. It might be that actually you join you start doing a sport on a certain day, or you join a club or a network or something like that, or you start hosting your very own podcast. And so considering things like this really help us to implement a practical routine within what we're doing and actually schedule ourselves practically as well, thinking about all the things that happen within our day, but also how we work best. And with all that being said, it's really important that we continue to be flexible and adaptable. So whilst we still need to make sure that we are disciplined, we need to make sure that we are consistent in what it is that we are doing. We also need to make sure that we are being flexible and adapting. I mean, I was having a conversation with someone just yesterday, actually, and we were talking a bit about routines and stuff. And then they said, yeah, like if they've got a plan and then maybe something will happen in the morning and it kind of changes the plan. But then they found that actually sometimes it can mean that the whole rest of the day is a bit out of alignment with what they had planned to do. And part of that is just being adaptable. Things happen, things come up, things can change. And so whilst we should endeavor to make sure that we are sticking to the plans, we also need to understand and endeavor to adapt the plans where necessary. So let's say you had a plan to go for a run in the afternoon and then write some of your book in the evening. Write a chapter or a few pages of your book, or do some coursework, something like that. But actually something came up right in the afternoon, and so you couldn't go out for your run. But what does adaptability look like in that situation? Adaptability may be that actually you jog in the house, or you do alternative exercise in the house. So you're still doing your exercise. It may actually be that that run has to shift to later in the day, and then you bring your coursework or your writing up and you get that done earlier. So it's all about thinking about how is there a way, first of all, for me to still do what I had scheduled to do? Is there a way for me to still do it? And if the answer is yes, then it's looking at, okay, how can I get that done? Where do I need to shift things? Where do I need to change things within my schedule? And if the answer is no, then it's a case of, okay, what's the alternative then? So if you can't still go for that run, and running in your house, maybe you don't have a walking pad, and so running in your house is not an option. What is the alternative? How can you adapt it? And it may actually be that adaptation means you do it on a different day, or you reschedule it for a different day, or that, and so then you can then use that time a little bit to actually reschedule your day. So don't just think, oh, the day is ruined, I can't do anything. Don't sit there and think that the whole day is ruined, because it's not. It's an opportunity for you to get creative and to think, okay, what can I change now, and how can I change this? And how can I change this? So when we are thinking about our rhythms and our routines, we need to make sure that we are adaptable where possible. We need to make sure that we are understanding when we work best, how we work best, and actually practically using that information. Don't just think, oh yeah, I work really well in the morning, and so that's when I'm going to do all my work. No. Put your schedule together. Think about it. Put your schedule together. For those of you that said you are more creative in the afternoons, and then let that be the time that you use to bring your ideas together, to develop and create the things that you might need. It might be, if you're in school, that you're actually creating all of your mind maps. You know, you might be drawing things, you might be putting all of those revision notes together, but you're bringing in colors, you're doing drawings, you know, you're building it like that. And it may be that actually for others, it may be that that's the time that you're putting together your resources, because actually you think this is a good time for me to think and sit, and you know, I can bring in all the images together, put the words together on the page and make it look amazing, because actually the afternoons are when you are creative. And if you know that, you know, the morning time, you need to think, okay, yes, you're more focused, but what does that give you the opportunity to do? If you're more focused, it may give you the opportunity to read and analyze and critique the work that you have to do. It may actually give you the opportunity to sit down and write, and just write and write and write whilst you're fresh in the morning. And so we need to be practical about these things. You know, if you are doing exercise, when do you do that best? When does it make you feel freshest? If that is in the morning, then think about the time that you have and how you can implement that within your day. So whilst we need to know how and when we work best, we need to also practically think about what that looks like within the schedule of our day-to-day. So I am looking at the time, and that is all we have time for today. It feels like it's gone really quick, actually. Short and sweet one for us today to wrap up this part of our series. So I have been your host, Dr. Leanne J, and you have been here with me on Academic Crossroads. So thank you all for tuning in this week. Thank you all for your engagement and your continued support. So we will be back with you, same place, same time next week here on Academic Crossroads.
On Fire Radio.
Raise your voice and shout, come on.
I go now with the things I don't know. Every more, now in they move me, they lead me, they go. On God, mine is made up. Of course, no going back. Non-stop, on its faults. Then she gone, oh damn good. I'm steady, revving, won't throttle. Got eyes on the prize. But one line, he go, police snatching from his hand. If I just know what we need, that would be true. That's why I go. To follow Jesus, I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus.
It won't make sense. So where am I going to? It's already too late. I've already come too far. It's already too late. We will spend the billions. We will spend for Jesus. We will shift the culture. We will heal the sick. We will raise the dead. Transform the nation. We will hear well done. We will turn the world. We will spend the billions. We will spend for Jesus. We will shift the culture. We will heal the sick. We will raise the dead. Transform the nation. We will hear well done.
To follow Jesus, I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. To turn it
You have been listening to Academic Crossroads. Join us same time next week for more academic top tips with your host, Dr. Lian J. Adu-Boahene.